When you talk about the armor of God in Ephesians chapter 6, it tells us to put it on. That means it's our responsibility. God has us take the initiative when it comes to putting on this thing called the armor. The armor of God, we started that armor off with the helmet of salvation, which was really hope. Then he says, put on the breastplate of righteousness. The word righteousness means as it ought to be by God's standard. The Bible is God's standard of righteousness. That's why you do not judge other books by this book. You judge this book and you judge it to other books. So in other words, you let this book read you. It's the only book on the planet where it tells you what to do with your life. It tells you the direction in which you should go. It gives you things to say no to and wonderful things to say yes to. Righteousness means as it ought to be by God's standards. God's standards and this world's standards are two different things. But I want to encourage you with something today as you're thinking about God's righteousness. It's not your righteousness that you need to obtain in, it's God's. It's not holiness by what you do that establishes whether you're holy or not. It's what Christ has done for us at the cross. So my standard, your standard, is not established what Hollywood thinks. It's not established what the latest sports stars or athletes or the latest influencer on social media thinks. Our standard is what God thinks. And what God thinks about you is that you are a wonderful masterpiece, created in His image to do great works. Not in your strength, but in His strength. It's not up for you and I to establish righteousness. It's up to God. And God says by Christ coming to this earth, He established righteousness, peace, joy, and love through the Holy Spirit. All of these wonderful things, when you put on that breastplate of righteousness as it ought to be by God's way, when you start living God's way and not your own way, miracles begin to happen. Let me encourage you with this thought today. When you put on that breastplate and you say no to the things that would harm you and yes to God's plan for you, miracles come your way. Don't miss out on putting on that armor of God.